Okay, another day, another stream. I I really don't remember like what I left, how I left the last stream. Right, let's put some light on me. Do I look pretty? So I really don't remember. Oh, I think like some of the light coming from there is messing up with the lighting. I think it's better now. I mean, the webcam is trash, so doesn't really make much of a difference. But yeah, I don't remember where I left the last stream. The problem is today I'm doing something that I don't really want to. I mean, I don't have a big qualm with sharing it. It's more of a. Yeah. But then what's the point of the stream if I don't show what I'm doing, right? Or I could just like do it like a study with me stream kind of a thing. Just put the freaking laptop over here and you'll at least see me typing and like you can see the monitor, right? So instead of I can turn on the light. Yeah, I don't really know if what's better, what's worse. I think showing the monitor is kind of important, so we at least need that. If I really want to turn on the light in the room, I think I'm gonna, at the very least, pull down the shades. And now we can turn on the lamp. And we can turn on the room light. Now we have perfect lighting. Cool. So yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a mix of things, but essentially, I think once I get an idea of what I'm doing, I will probably start sharing my screen and show you guys, show zero of you guys what I'm doing. Till then, let me just, do stuff on my own, kind of. Right. Okay. So I can like mumble or I can talk about what I'm doing while I'm doing it, even though I don't really want to share what I'm doing. So specifically what I'm doing right now is I'm making a tool that can go to Twitter or X to my profile and just remove all of my retweets. Right. I mean, now that I think of it, there must be some open source project that already does it, right? Let's ask ChatGPT. And now that the light is on, I think I can turn it to light mode, right? We don't need dark mode, but I definitely need to, I think, turn the brightness down a bit. This is a bit much. Yeah, I think that's good. All right. Is there, okay, can you see the keyboard? Can you see the monitor? Yeah, I think that's as good as it gets. Yeah. This is actually a pretty good frame. Gonna take a screenshot of this window. Yeah. Maybe use it as a thumbnail or something. But yeah, we can't. I can't use the. Where the fuck is the cursor here? Okay, that's trash. Whatever. Do I pretend to be working? It looks like I'm. It looks like I'm masturbating. Uh, so the screenshot I took was like when my hand was down and I was like this, and it's like so funny because it looks like I'm legit like watching porn and like jacking off. Anyway, is there any open source project that helps you remove your own retweets um, uh, through local automation? I'm pretty sure there must be. It's just a point of discovery. Like, will we be able to? Will ChatGPT be able to discover um, something? What do you mean archive based? Deletes retweets. Does not require user. Wait, I did not get my X archive yet. Hope it didn't go into spam or something. Also, I hate having to keep looking in that monitor. But yeah, anyway. I hope it did not go into spam. Okay, what I'm gonna do is just take this window for live streaming and keep it there, and the other windows here. Okay. So yeah, I don't see anything here. Let's go to my X profile. Hmm. Yeah, that's the thing with. That's the thing with fucking Twitter is like it just hooks you from the first freaking tweet, and now I'm hooked. I can't stop scrolling. Um, the fuck? Yeah, it's definitely addicting. Anyway, let's get back to work. Um, get an archive of your data. Yeah, I did this before. Um, it can take 24 hours or longer. So it's definitely not something that they're gonna give me. Okay, what does this do anyway? I think I did get it automates deletion using your authenticated session. Local execution. This is interesting. Let's go check it out. Is it recent? It's 3 years old. Uh, mm, the archive is gonna take a while. So is there any other way? Archive is gonna take time. Oh, I think I understand why an archive is needed because then you can go to that tweets page directly instead of having to fucking scroll on your whatever, you know. Let me see if I do actually have Twitter. I'm pretty sure I exported it at some point. I'm not sure if it's in my Google Drive. Uh, yeah, I guess it's gonna be difficult to find it. Okay. Here. Yeah, there's this thing called tweets.js. I think I remember that. I don't have it here. I do have a hard disk as well, but I don't have it right now. Yeah, it's. Wait, isn't there? We have agents now, right? Okay, I think I don't have it. By the way, are there any AI agents like OpenAI or something? Yeah, it would be much better for us to just tell the agent, hey, do this for me. There's OpenAI Atlas, but I don't know what it does. Does it actually use your, ChatGPT Atlas? And I'm also not sure if, first of all, it's not on Linux. That was expected. And I don't think it actually uses, okay, you can. What else do we have? Project Mariner. Comet. Yeah, there's obviously Perplexity Comet. I'm not sure if, again, the problem is nothing's going to be there for frickin' Linux. Oh, this is useless. Yeah, I don't want to delete my tweets. I don't think I have Damper Monkey. Greasy Fork. Let's install Damper Monkey. How can I be a browser guy and not have Tamper Monkey install? How do we use it though? Okay, now that we're on X, let's refresh. Let's go to the profile. Okay, now how do we use it? Why did it not come up? Where are our scripts, bitch? User script. Okay. Okay, cool. But why is it not working? Install Tamper Monkey, install the script, click and install, and you'll see the control panel. Oh, okay. Interesting. Save username. Start cleaning. Okay, no. We don't want to freaking clean. We just want to undo undo stuff, right? We don't want to delete shit. So draggable, wait for element, blah blah blah, is my tweet. Should I just ask an AI agent to modify it? That would be perfect. Is this safe to use? Of course it is. Why is there no freaking... Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. So you can actually only see okay. How to filter by retweets you've made on X. Search. Okay, let's see if that works. This is kind of annoying. Let's just understand the code. So the problem with this, yeah, what I'm gonna do is, so there's this portion in the script which is, it's a function called find actionable items, and it returns an array called items, and the article, it just kind of fetches all the tweets. Then if it has some attribute which is data not mine, then we continue. If it's a repost, then do something, and then if it's is my tweet, then also you push it. So I'm gonna go with commenting out this portion of the code. So the stuff that we have is not going to be deleted. Right. In fact, I'm just going to comment out the deletion function as well. Let's remove all functions related to deletion. Mark is not mine. We also don't want I don't know what these are for. Okay, I've commented out a bunch of shit. Let's see if it works or something. Let's refresh the page. Not sure if okay. So one way to see if it's working as intended is just code. Yeah. So now if I go to my profile and do start cleaning, it's not deleting my shit. This is cool. Also, can we make the delay a little bit more? You know, we wanted to make the delay a little bit more. Scroll and wait. Interesting. So waiting usually happens by using a wait, right? So where do we have a wait? So there's scroll and wait, a wait, undo repost, await new promise, Okay, at this thing, we'll do. Wait, what? What the fuck happened? Modify, sure. So I think it should become. Nah, it's still super fast. I want it to be slightly slower because I want to see the actual tweets that are being deleted. I don't want to see all of them, obviously, but I do want to see some of them. Do a 1 second thing, maybe. Okay, I think we're. Let's refresh. Oh no, it's deleting shit. Oh, fuck. We uncommented some of the stuff. We might be able to. Yeah. Might be able to just do it through this, right? Yeah, that's the lazy thing to do. Or is it slow? Is that the reason why it didn't do anything? Oh. Or we could just comment shit out here. That could also potentially work. Safe. See if that works. Yes, that seems to work. But I have to say, yeah. It's good, but like one per second is too slow. Let's just go. Let's just go halfway. I mean, not halfway exactly, but let's just go 700 milliseconds. Zero followers. That is sad. Also,
Hello, hello. It's been a while since I've talked to you guys. I just came here because I wanted to talk about this new channel that I'm starting, but then also kind of like why I haven't been posting on Jomatech a lot. Just for some context, I posted a video maybe like 3 months ago, and that was when I haven't posted for like 3 years, and then suddenly I just posted a video, and then I kind of left again. So I kind of just want to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, I know most of you probably thought like, oh my God, there's going to be a new video. He's going to be back forever, but nope. I just want to keep you guys on your toes. But anyways, so two things I want to talk about: why I post so little on Jomatech nowadays, and also why I'm making a new channel. So Jomatech, it evolved quite a lot throughout the years. At first it kind of started as like vlogs. I think that's how I first started doing Jomatech, and it was like the first channel that actually worked out and blew up. That was the thing. When I first started, I kind of just chased the views. It was the narcissism speaking. Not gonna lie, I think that's probably true for most people on the internet. You have to be a little bit narcissistic to kind of film yourself, edit, look at yourself while you're editing, and put it out there. But I think it's a natural cycle of a content creator. And then after that, you kind of chase money. You start doing sponsorships. First time some company gives you like $5,000 for a video, you're like, wow, what the hell? This is amazing. That's like 1 month of salary right there, right? And that was mostly true during the era of kind of like the sketches right here. I was getting like a lot of views, and it was pretty awesome. I was able to kind of make a living out of it. And then that's kind of also when I started going full time on YouTube. But when I went full time on YouTube, I also chased something different. I was chasing skills. That's when you saw my increase in production quality, because I was interested in filmmaking. The more you want to improve, at least for me, the more I want to try different things. I don't like to stick to a certain format. That way I can push myself to try different things, up level my cinematography, up level my editing, my storytelling, and stuff like that. And it takes time, because you're not gonna go use like a formula that works all the time. You're trying to do something new every time, and then you're going to take a lot longer because you have to learn all these skills before you even make the video, rather than using an existing set of skills and creating kind of like a content engine out of that. I don't mind it because it's that was the whole point of working. It's you want to get better at stuff, and you want to learn, and you want to be able to have the skill set so that if ever in the future you need to make something specific, you will have the skill set. Anyways, point is, making one video every few months, I don't think it was a sustainable business, right? However, there was a guy, he asked me like, what would I do if money wasn't an issue? And I said to myself, oh, I'll probably just do YouTube, but one video a year, so I could take my time to make it and stuff. And that kind of hit me, and I was like, oh, if that was my goal, like, why not just do it now, right? So I kind of stopped the grind. I relaxed a little bit, try to be, take my time, try to do it as as an art form, if I can really call it that. But then I realized I kind of needed the money, right? So I went back to work, and let me see. And that was the era where like ChatGPT was coming up, and then Cursor and stuff like that. So I was playing around with all these tools, and they were so amazing. It kind of gave me like superpowers, and I kind of found my love for like building again, right? Because even if I was a video creator, I also really like to build software, or just anything. Software is the easiest because you don't need anything physical. But then even work became more fun, and that's why I just kept doing the job. I didn't even think about making videos at all until one day a young man came up to me who recognized me. He said how much my videos actually helped him through like the difficult time, and no, actually, I'm kidding. I just looked at my YouTube income, and I was like, man, I really miss having a side income, and I kind of miss making videos, right? I mean, who doesn't love money, right? Some extra money, you could spend it on, more, I don't know, pizza slices or something like that. I don't know. As I was saying, I miss making videos. So that's when I decided to make my comeback video, which took a long time, but I wasn't in a rush, right? And I also wanted to practice actually, telling a story with a plot, not just sketches. And since I had a job and I didn't need to make money or to even succeed or to make the video go viral or anything, I was able to take more risks. And I really like that because I can focus on creating the thing I like to create rather than having constraints or trade-offs so that I can monetize it or so that I can have sponsorships or so that, I can make it more viral. I kind of just made it as truthful as possible, true to me, right? And yeah, but I think in general, I do like making videos. It's quite fun. Um, but the thing is, like, as much as I like writing, telling stories and entertaining people, in the end, you still have to make it a business, right? Life is a balance. It's never an all or nothing. Like it's pure art or like, oh, it's pure business and it's all money making or whatever. Most things are in between, which is why I'm starting a new channel. And what is it called? Drum roll. Joma Second Channel. Yeah, I don't know what to call this channel yet because I don't know what it will be yet. So let's just call it Joma Second Channel. You can't get more objective than that. But what am I gonna do? I think mostly, I'm not sure. It has to be, it has to have some sort of content market fit. So it has to be cheap to make and it has to have a good ROI. One of the ideas might be talking about news. And lots of AI stuff to talk about nowadays. A lot of interesting things. We could deep dive into these new tools or like some of the moves that these companies make, and we could analyze that. I think that's good for me and also probably for the viewers because you want to stay sharp, you want to stay up to date, and also maybe just interviewing people in the industry. And I just have to find like a middle ground of what people like to watch and why I enjoy baking. One of the inspiration I had, I was looking at other YouTube channels that might have the same issues as me with Joma Tech, and I found this YouTuber. His name is Mate Canyon. I'm sure a lot of you know them, but his animation is extremely high quality. It takes a lot of money to make. It takes a lot of people to make. A bunch of animators, and they're really really good. But as you can see, similar to my channel back then, like you don't make them consistently, right? Like there's a 3-month gap here, 1 month gap, 1 month gap, almost like me, one video a month kind of thing. And but these videos are bangers. They're really really bangers. And he didn't want to sacrifice the quality just to chase like the YouTube algorithm or whatever. So he made a second channel, and in this channel he basically posts like every few days, and he kind of reacts to like internet trends and stuff like that. Create this channel so that he can create a more sustainable business that allows him to spend months on a single 2-minute animation without losing his audience's attention or his financial stability. I was like, oh wow, like that's exactly my problem with Joma Tech. I mean, it's not a huge problem because at least I have like a job, and the job helps me be financially stable. I don't know why I said it like that, but I think like if I ever want to go back full time to YouTube, that's probably kind of the business model that works the best. So so maybe I'll try this business model out. It might work, it might not, and time will tell. I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna try a lot of different things first, and then we'll see what sticks. We'll see what you guys like. We'll see what I like, and then hopefully, I could make something more frequent, and that way I can also, be in touch with my viewers, right? Because like making one video every year, like I don't know what's going on. Like from the time I made the last video before my comeback video to here, I think people like graduated college, people got new jobs, people got promoted. Like my audience is so old now. Like if you think about when they started, they were watching me in college and stuff. And then now into 2026, some of them might be my managers. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening to me ramble. And I hope to see you very, very soon on this channel. Oh, and P.S. This channel used to be the Joan NYC channel. I kind of just want to recycle channels. I don't want to like make a new one so that it's already monetized. But all right, cool. I think that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have a great weekend, great day, and see you in the next one.
Okay, so the tweet unreposter thing is working. So apparently, I don't need to create that project. Yeah, I still need to figure out like what to work on. For my GTV application. But before we do that, I haven't had dinner because I was not hungry. But let's just have dinner anyway. I don't want to sleep without. I don't really eat too late. Like, so I've paused the script for now. Let me refresh the page and see how it looks. It's working very well. I was expecting like uh, I was expecting them to like rate limit me or like block me or something, but that hasn't happened yet. Um, yeah, I'm gonna come back and run it. I don't want to run it autonomous, like outside of like my field of view, even though it's not like I'm watching it all the time. But yeah, I'm gonna come back. We're gonna be running the tweet deleter on the side, and then on one side we're gonna be doing some actual planning on what to work upon. So yeah. like how much calories? 400 grams. I don't know what 400 grams means. Oh, 1/3 of pack. It's 150 per 1/3 of pack. So if you do 2/3, then it'll be 300. So what is 2/3 of fucking 5 pieces? Bitch. 2 by 3 to 5. 10 by 3, which is around 3 pieces. Wait, what? I don't know. But I think the best way to go about it would be just 2-3 pieces. What else are you gonna do? Or you could like do the whole thing, make it 450. That would be too much. So yeah. Set a timer for 20 minutes. Okay, so I've put some chicken in the oven. I mean, I don't know why I got like pre-cooked chicken. If I still have to put it in the fucking oven, I could have just gotten like uncooked chicken, raw chicken, and cooked it. But whatever. So, by the way, I also do calorie counting, but the way I do calorie counting is like super duper imprecise, inaccurate. I don't know what's the right word, but as an example, those 3 chicken pieces. On the packet, it was written like 1/3 of the pack is about 150 calories, but there were like just 5 pieces. I can actually compute that. I don't have to be inaccurate. So this, I just like guess like it's like 50 kcals because I know this is iced tea. So 1/3 of packet is 150 kcals roughly, right? Which means the full packet would be somewhere around 450, right? 450 for for 5 pieces. So 450 divided by 5 is 90 per piece. And so if you multiply that by 3, you get 270 calories. So I'll be having 270 calories of chicken, then around 50, which is a conservative estimate. It would probably be somewhere around that or a little bit lower. And then 2 parathas, 2 or 3 parathas, so maybe 300. So the whole thing will be like 620 calories, which is quite low. And even if I round up, it'll be 700. Even if I have another paratha, it'll be 800. So that's how I do. I mean, this is like way more than what I did, but uh, I would have like taken chicken as 300 without thinking about it all that much. Okay, let's start cleaning. Is it working? So anybody who, I don't know about other careers, but like if you work in tech, my recommendation would definitely be um, do stuff outside. Do work stuff like tech stuff outside of your job work. I kind of neglected that for a while. So I'm not saying like you have to do cool shit. You can even do like interview prep. Uh, you can either do interview prep, or if you're like more of a tech nerd, do cool shit like do projects, do research, go give talks. I kind of I did a bunch of it like like in university and like 1 or 2 years, 1 year after it, kinda. But then I just stopped. I did some cool shit within my job, like I went to speak in conferences, etc. But never anything that I can truly use uh, to say that hey, I'm like a global talent, right? So I'm not saying like you need the global talent visa. You don't, but also like if you're not really into community or you know recognition, even getting a new job, it's much better if you pick something up and you do that shit. And so the way you could work on something like that is simply figure out like what kind of a work you would actually want to do. So don't do random shit, right? So as an example, I've been following the Ladybird web browser for a while. It's like a new web browser, which is a cool thing. But do I really want a job where I'm doing like web browser development, or like would I like the day to day of it? A very easy way to check is just like download Ladybird, start developing on it, like start fixing issues, start fixing bugs, and well, if you like it, then you do it. That's kind of the beauty with open source is like if you don't like something, you can just like look at the code, you can try contributing to it. If you don't like it, just quit. So the best way to kind of figure out what direction you want to go into is do the thing, um, instead of like keep thinking about, oh, should I do this, should I do that. Yeah. So I think so when it comes to Immigram, I think I'm not going to go ahead with them. Um, that's kind of decided from my end. Although one thing I was like super interested in figuring out was like I was looking at some of the people who got the global talent visa through Immigram, and by some I mean I've just like looked at a couple of them, and I was not able to find anything um, which was like exceptional or anything like that. So my plan today is like to just go and check profiles, like online profiles of people who who are who are uh, did they? Oh no, they did they? They did something. So the they did something because I'm not able to see tweets before a certain tweet. Maybe they rate limited me, maybe something else. I don't know. This post is unavailable. Okay, weird shit is happening. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Anyway, it's good that that stopped happening. Uh, Otherwise, I would have been stuck on it. Okay. So the goal now is should I be sharing my screen for this? I can do that. I'm not completely against it. Yeah, I guess I can do that. It's not like looking at profiles of people is a bad thing, you know? Not that anybody is seeing my stream. So even if I start doing something shady, nobody will know ever. Just kidding. Too much light. I guess I need to turn this off again. And maybe this one too. Okay. Now I look like a hacker. Okay. Let's see. Let us see. Like yesterday, I'm just gonna share one window because oh fuck. The window I was gonna share just accidentally got closed. Right. Because like I said, like my monitor is like so huge. If I share the whole thing, it's just gonna be very bad. Also, I'm gonna make it to dark style. That didn't solve the problem I was hoping it would solve, which is the glare in my eyes. But yeah, my eyesight is good enough, so I don't really care. In my glasses. Share screen. The interesting thing about doing shit is like you don't even need to know what you're doing. You just do shit, and eventually you're gonna end up in like a nice place, right? That's the beauty of just sitting down and showing up every day. Okay, so my plan here is to figure out what I mean, Immigram is like one thing, but like I'm pretty sure there's many ways to figure out people who've got the global talent visa. Let me check if the timer is okay. 7 minutes left. There's many ways we can figure out people who've gotten the global talent visa, and we can just like stalk them online, right? So let's look at this. Maybe in the blog. I think those are the two things that might have something. Oh, I didn't know that you can't uh, bring your family on a skilled worker visa. Can you? Oh, so it's not like a benefit on top of skilled worker visa. They're just saying like, yeah, you can do that. Okay. Exceptional, blah blah blah. Useful articles. What does testimonials? Yeah. So this guy's a CEO. I guess it might be this guy. What was it? Goldman Sachs. Nomura is much more unique. I have a request. Dakshita. She looks hot. I guess, kinda. Who's Raman Gupta? Oh, she's in cybersecurity. I would love to. Okay, she's much older than me. I would love to like participate in some shit, you know. Why am I doing this on stream? Information security. The thing about India is like, even if I go, if I contact somebody in freaking whatever, like India, and I go give a talk or something, like it'll be virtual, and like that's usually not that good of a thing. I think it might be this guy. No, it's not Adriano Nomura. It's Adriano K. Nomura and Goldman Sachs. Does this guy not even have a freaking profile? Like, I thought, like, executive director at Nomura. This is insane. Like, this guy got the global talent visa, and you can't even like find him on Google. Okay, I think it might be this guy, but the name is different, and the face is different, which is weird. Adrian Ching. Okay, that's Adriano. It's Adriano. Oh, okay. Wait, is this guy? This is so cringe. Like, this is the kind of shit like I feel like they would make for you. Like if you were like trying to game Global Talent Visa. But I mean, I don't hate him because he is like in academia, right? So he has undeniable evidence, if true. But I can't even see a freaking LinkedIn. Like, what? This is kind of fishy. But now that we have the whole name, let's just search for the whole name, right? What are we waiting for? Maybe this guy. Co-founder at Holistic AI. Interesting. Okay, so the timer is off. Yeah, I don't know. Well, he has publications and shit. He doesn't really have a website. I'm gonna go get something to eat. Whatever I put in the freaking thing to eat. So I'm getting. I cooked up some chicken. I'm gonna have some parathas and chutney and iced tea. I know my combinations are weird AF. So I guess I'm gonna end the stream for now, or should I just eat? I guess I can eat while I'm streaming. I don't know. Maybe watch some video or something. Oh yeah, I was planning to watch a video. I was watching a video just now. It seemed like a nice video. So we're gonna continue watching that. I'm not sure if it's like against the YouTube terms or some shit. But it's a nice video of like this engineer at not engineer. What am I saying? Like this famous guy.
Acquired by Oracle.
Yes.
And I just want to know, why was it so controversial at the time? There's even a Wikipedia page that says the acquisition of Sun Microsystems, and it's almost like an obituary.
Okay, my food is done. Cool. So 300, 600, 700, something like that. We can go with 800, which brings us to, yeah.
And there's a lot of top level engineers.
Well, it was dramatic. There's actually a really interesting SEC filing because it's a public company. That IBM and HP were both jockeying to try to buy Sun, and each trying to sabotage the other, and each was trying to get the kind of because they almost wanted to buy Sun punitively. They were both competitors with Sun, and while they were kind of screwing with one another, Oracle swept in and bought the company. Oracle, that happened really quickly. The actual acquisition itself was necessarily controversial. It took a while to close. What I mean, to the contrary, I mean, there's nothing like really controversial about Oracle because Oracle is what it is. Oracle is just, there's not a lot of depth to Oracle. Oracle is just an octopus that knows how to feed itself. And the Sun was very much not that way. Sun was, there was a level, I wouldn't call it purism, but Sun was always endeavoring to do the right thing by its customers. Sun was endeavoring to solve hard, interesting technical problems that had commercial relevance. And it gave its engineers, us, tremendous freedom to go do so. And it tended to attract people that wanted to do that wanted to be bold. And it was a great place for that reason because it rewarded that kind of technical boldness. So that's why, NFS and Spark and Java and Solaris and then all the technologies that I worked on, all these things came out of Sun. There were so many of these like seminal technologies that came out of Sun because of that kind of that passion and independence. Oracle doesn't have any of that. Oracle's just like, Oracle truly is focused on one thing, namely its own profitability, which is like, I thought when the acquisition happened, I'm like, well, this will be interesting because we'll get someone with like great business savvy, maybe. One of the things that was frustrating to me about Sun is that Sun, in terms of business execution, Sun fell down a bunch of times. And I thought we would have someone in Oracle that would be just better at the execution of a commercial enterprise. As it turns out, I was really overestimating Oracle. Oracle really is about being able to get effectively a monopoly, a natural monopoly over its own customers, asphyxiating competition, and then raising the rent on its customers. Like that is really what Oracle wanted to go do. And it's not a company I wanted to work for.
I see. Because there's a talk that you gave that where you really, I didn't even, I know you're talking. Yeah,
the
talk is crazy.
The Lisa talk from 2011.
Yeah, before you even got to talking about it, you said, I'm going to try and make it through this slide without crying.
Oh, that was on the Sun slide.
Yeah. And then I think you were talking about Oracle and you said that they screw customers and lie. I guess you explained the screw customers part, but what's the lie part of
Oracle?
Yeah.
Oracle has made many promises to its own customers that it does not keep. Oracle has not earned the trust of its customers. If you ask customers, do you trust Oracle? The answer to that would be no. And I would kind of let that speak for itself. The making that slide without crying bit was not about Oracle. That was very much about Sun. And that was Scott McNeely's epitaph for Sun. Kicked butt, had fun, didn't cheat, loved our customers, changed computing forever.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, that was the bit and it still chokes me up a little bit just because it's true. It was true. And we, when we started Oxide, it was like adopted that as our own mission because that's exactly what we wanted to go do at Oxide. And I thought it was a very concise distillation of that, and that was just not Oracle. Oracle was not interested in that.
When a lot of the top engineers, it seems like there was an exodus.
A big exodus. Yeah.
Were people confiding with each other? Like, were you talking to other high-level engineers, say, "Hey, we got to get out of here"?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not even like. I mean, you're just like you're in a burning building. Are people confiding with one another that they should leave the burning building? It's like no, actually, people are just like running for their lives. I mean, you're just not like, oh, what do you think of the burning building? Like, do you think the building is burning? What do you? And no, I mean, it was pretty clear. And there were actually the real true jockeying came from those engineers before it actually closed. There were going to be some engineers that would be laid off before it closed. But as the acquisition closed, in other words, there were some people that were Sun employees that were not going to be Oracle employees.
Aqua laid off, like there wouldn't be a existing company. They just
right. That's right. So they would lose their job.
Okay.
But they would get like a pretty rich severance package. So you had like an absolute line at the trough for how can I get laid off? You like lay me off first. This was not me. This was not us. We were. I was. I mean, at least to the credit of the people lining up at the trough, at least they knew what was going to happen. And there's still people to this day that are a little resentful. People are like, that guy got laid off. And I quit because I could not work there in good conscience after 45 days. That guy got laid off and got a year of salary or whatever it was. But I was not that. We were at this Fishworks group in San Francisco, and I was really optimistic somewhat optimistic that we could combine the best of both companies, or what I perceived to be the best of both companies. And as it turns out, that's not the case. So
what'd you see? Because you left really quick. So
it was really clear to me that this was a very, very different company. I mean, Oracle gave me, I decided, I can't work here anymore. And the time between I decided that and I actually left, which was only 30 days, a little longer than that, maybe 45 days. Oracle gave me 4 other reasons to be oh my God, I can't stomach working here. It was a bunch of things. One, it was Sun, for all of its faults, and there were many, many faults of Sun. Sun had the trust of its customers. Our customers actually were rooting for us at Sun. Our customers wanted us to prevail. Why? Because they trusted us, and they, even when it wasn't in our own best interests, we would be straight with our customers. And I think that was, we did not lie to our customers, right? And that was something that our customers found very, very appealing. That was not Oracle. Oracle does not have the trust of its customers, and I realized something very important about myself. I can't work for a company that has that kind of profound distrust. In terms of we're talking about meaning, that so eroded my own sense of meaning. I felt ashamed. I felt ashamed to work there. And I had never felt that. I've never, for Sun, I was embarrassed from time to time, but never ashamed. And with Oracle, I was ashamed.
You mentioned people were eager to get themselves laid off. How do you even do that? You just
you tell your manager, look, there's a list. Put me on it.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a list. Okay. Who else is on it? I want to be on it. Just all the ways that you. It's not like you don't fill out a web form. You're obviously you're a courtier, kind of whispering about, trying to figure out what's the scuttlebutt, who's going to get laid off.
I thought you have to really underperform and
no ownership. No. I think that they were it was all about hey, I have no value to Oracle. Could you? It was much more Oracle's not interested in what I'm doing, right? And then you get Oracle is interested. You're God damn it.
So I get why you left Oracle, and obviously Sun was acquired.
Yeah.
And so the next place you worked at was Joyent.
Yeah.
And I understand that this company competed with AWS.
That's right. Yeah.
And I listened to some of the conversation you already had, and interesting quote. You said Bezos is the apex predator of capitalism.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
They're just Amazon at its height was so relentless on execution, and what made Bezos really, really good is that, and I would say and when I say its height, Amazon hits the mother lode, and they hit the mother lode not because they're lucky. There's luck involved, they allow S3 to be developed, right? They develop EC2. Then they realize what they're on to, and they're on cloud computing before anyone has figured it out. And those reinvents in like from 2010 to say 2015 were relentless. Every reinvent was a price cut. It was price cut, and it was a bunch of new services. And if you're a customer, you're like, this is awesome. I love this. This is great. Like, why would I not? I mean, so it was and that's what I mean by the Apex Predator, because he was on something that was wildly profitable. He pulled off just an absolute move of moves in that Amazon did not break out their revenue. So it's just like Amazon. It's like you got the .com side, you have AWS. They're not breaking out any of that. They're just like literally, this is how much Amazon's making. Analysts sort of ask in the call, they're just like, yeah, we're not talking about that. Which apparently you can get away with as a public company. And so they actually created this idea, especially with the relentless price cuts. People are like, oh, the cloud's a terrible business. Like no one should get into the cloud because it's a terrible business. And so people didn't. And meanwhile, like what we knew, because we did compete with Amazon, we did have a public cloud, and we knew it's like, no, the margins of this thing are great. Like this is actually a great business. And Amazon was executing very, 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 very well, and they did extraordinarily well in those years. And I mean, they are still obviously it's a very profitable company, but Amazon is not what it was in those years. I'm not sure when the last price cut was announced at reInvent, but it's been a while. It is not that's not what you get at reInvent. You don't get the kind of the new services that you can't live without. So it's a different company.
AWS was early, and they already had, I guess, a dominant market share.
Yeah.
Why would Jeff Bezos continue to just like ruthlessly keep going and keep going, instead of milking it?
Because he is not merely a predator; he is an apex predator and capitalist. This is what makes him so good. It's like I'm gonna press my advantage. Like I'm gonna make it so no one can compete with me. And I'm going to make it so no one wants to get into this business. And I'm going to do it, honestly, like the right way. I'm going to do it by like giving a great product at a reasonable price. It's like, damn, yeah, that's good. That's a win-win. That's a win-win. And it was like essential for innovation during that era of companies that were cloud born. And it was really, and it was very, very hard to compete with Amazon. I'll tell you that. You had to really like find a lane, and we found lanes where we could go compete with Amazon, but it was brutal. Their execution was extraordinary.
At this company, I saw that you started out as a VP and then you transitioned to CTO at some point.
Yeah.
What's the difference in the roles?
That's a great question. I actually gave a talk on this with Joyent's CTO at the time on the contrast between VP of engineering and CTO. And I'm not sure how much I buy the difference now. I mean, I think in both capacities you're serving as an engineering leader. And I think that, I guess you can argue that the CTO is more outward looking for sure. Chief travel officer is kind of the pejorative for it. You're on the road talking to customers a lot. You are a VP of engineering may be more focused on some of the necessary mechanics that you have in an engineering organization. For me personally, I mean, they brought me in as a VP of engineering because they frankly already had a CTO. So I mean, again, it's just like the grade I was at Sun, I didn't particularly care. What I did care about is when the CTO had left, and then another CTO that we had the CTO who had been a founder of the company, and when he left, so there was kind of like the empty CTO position. I didn't care. What I did care was that we didn't hire externally for that, because I did. So that I did care about a lot. Like, look, if there's going to be a CTO, I'm happy to be VP of engineering in perpetuity. But like, I would rather, like, if there's going to be a CTO, I would like to not hire externally for that, please, or let me be involved in that anyway. But yeah, I was later with the CTO.
And why not hire externally?
I just didn't want to deal with like having to bring in. I didn't need that. That's not what we needed at that time. What we needed at that time, especially, well, we got rid of the CEO, and we really were we needed a terrific CEO, which we later got.
So then you started Oxide.
Started Oxide in 2019. Yeah.
And what's the story behind you starting your own company?
Well, I knew, again, I kind of had in my mind that like I want to start a company. And the thing that I knew is I want to start a company with Steve. Steve and I had worked together at that point. Steve was the when I went to Joyent, I had not talked to Steve prior to going to Joyent, and I was going to Joyent in part because I was running away from Oracle, and it was going to allow me to hire folks and so on. But I didn't talk to Steve until after I came to Joyent, and I'm like, this guy is amazing. And Steve and I just worked very closely together. Steve came up on the go-to-market side and on the sales side, and I knew, I'm like, I definitely want to start a company with this guy. And he, fortunately, he felt the same. So we both felt like, all right, whatever we do next, we do it together. And so now it's like, all right, well, now what? Now we got to figure out what we want to go do. And we had these long walks in the city because we were working in San Francisco, and we had so many bad ideas. I mean, it was just basically one bad idea after another. So then we're trying to come up with ideas that like were a better match for the kinds of things that people would fund. And we recommend people not do this. It's understandable. I did it. I understand, but we're trying to like come up with things that people would fund, and coming up with things that were just like not in our heart. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, okay, I could do this, but like, really? I mean, it'd be fun to do it with Steve, but just doesn't feel like that's not going to, I want to do something that is this next long chapter of my career. And so as we're kind of struggling with that, and I was trying to figure out like, okay, we actually need to start talking to venture capitalists at some point. We need to like start like get this ball rolling and understand like I had always known venture capitalists and had gotten lunch with them over the years, but had not really like, kind of gone deep. And I've known the venture capitalists associated with Joyent for sure. And so I was reminding myself of the email address of one VC in particular, actually a very famous VC. But it's someone I had known since early in his career. And he and I just gotten lunch periodically through our careers from when he was first in venture and I was in engineering, and he had kind of become pretty famous. And I was just wanting to remind myself of the email address. And the last email he had sent to me, which maybe 18 months prior, was like, "Hey, Brian, really enjoyed getting lunch with you today. I just want to remind you, I will fund literally anything you put in front of me." I think like, wow. And I was like, Steve, remind myself of this guy's email address. He said, he will fund literally anything we put in front of him. So like, we should just go big. We should do the thing that is in our heart. And Steve's like, what do you mean? I'm like, we should build the computer that we want to build. We should build a rack scale machine. And he's like, yeah, that'd be amazing. Like, do you think we can get that funded? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And, that was very much in our heart. That was what we had lived at. He had lived at, Steve had been at Dell prior to Joyent. He'd been at Dell for a decade. I'd been obviously at Sun for 14 years. And then together at Joyent for another decade. And this was truly in our marrow. And we thought like, okay, we can go. And as we started talking to VCs about building, and we, again, envisioned rack scale design. We wanted to do our own board design, do our own switch, do our DC busbar based design, do all of our own software, build the machine that we ourselves wish we could have had at Samsung after Samsung acquired Joyent. And what was very catalyzing actually was going to, you were at what would have been Facebook at the time before they renamed it, and going to their Open Compute, going to the Open Compute Summit and looking at like Tioga Pass. And you're like, what is this? Like Tioga Pass, it was like, I would liken it to discovering Unix as an undergrad when I had been living with DOS and be like, what is this? And you go look at Tioga Pass, you're like, this is what a computer can be. Like, this is gorgeous. This is amazing. We got to go build this for the enterprise market. And what we discovered is this was very contrarian, but things that are contrarian are attractive to venture. So we would get this thing where people would actually be pretty interested in it. And I mean, you don't have to tell you how the story ends, but we went back. We'd actually talked to a bunch of venture capitalists before I went back to that same VC that sent me the email. And I get maybe 45 seconds into describing the problem we want to go solve at Oxide. He's like, Brian, stop. If you are talking about starting a computer company, I want nothing to do with it. And I'm like, it's funny. you sent me an email years ago that said you would fund literally anything I put in front of you. And he said, doesn't sound like me. I'm like, well, okay. What do you want me to do with that one? I'm like, you sent me the email. It's like, is your admin writing all your emails for you? Like, you have your kid write the email? I don't know what to do with that one. Like, you did send me the email. Are you calling me a liar? I mean, and I'm like, all right, fine. And it's like, fine. And we were over the phone. I go to hang up on him. And of course, like VCs, this is just like it's in the animal brain, right? If you go to hang up on a VC, they'll be like, wait. It's like, oh, okay. He's like, wait. So I'm like, fine, got it. He's like, wait. I'm not going to invest. And I'm like, I know you're not going to invest. And I knew the reason I knew he wasn't going to invest is he's had some big zeros in this department. And when a VC has had zeros in something that looks close to what you're doing, they're like, I want nothing to do that again. Like, nope. Was in a bad relationship with one of those. Don't want to do that again. And in part, in their defense, it's often because, like, actually, I understand this problem a lot better. And now I understand all the headwinds. And now in some ways, like, you need VCs to be, and they need themselves to be, like, naive at some level. Optimistic be a better way of phrasing it, where they can, like, envision the world as it could be, as opposed to getting all mired in the way the world is. You've got to be kind of blind to the odds to a certain degree. And I knew that he was not blind to the odds because he'd had two big zeros. And so I knew that he was going to be like, and 1-0 that like looked a lot like Oxide. And so he's like, look, I'm not going to find them. Like, again, I knew that, but I do want to help you. I'm like, okay, it's great. And I always tell people, like, when you are, VCs will ask this a lot, especially a VC that's like, where you're not a fit for them. You're not a portfolio fit for them. You're not a thesis fit, whatever it is. You're not a stage fit. If they like you, they'll be like, look, I'm not going to invest, but how can I help? And you always want to have an answer to that question of how you can help. And I knew how he could help. I had a very concrete idea. It's like one of those zeros. I want to talk to him. I want to talk to the founders. I want to understand everything that went wrong. And I did. He's like, okay, that I can do. He made the intro, and it was really, really interesting. And like the mistake that company had made, and again had a thesis that looked like Oxide, but they didn't raise a lot of they raised kind of arguably too little capital. They got something working that's smaller than we built at Oxide. Minimum viable product at Oxide is a rack. It's big. It took us 3+ years to develop. They developed something a little bit faster, but it was much smaller. It was basically you could view it as like Nitro circa like 2013. Nitro from the Annapurna acquisition at AWS does a lot of really important offload for AWS. So you could view it as like very early Nitro, but it didn't really have a market, but they had a customer, and they got a customer, and they're like, great. And the customer was happy, and they wanted to use it in particular on their Active Directory servers. Great. We have product market fit. Raised a bunch of money, hired a huge go-to-market team. Problem is that customer, huge bank, only wanted to run it on like their 6 Active Directory servers. So they were going to buy like quantity 6. And this is one of the world's largest banks. You're like, uh-oh. So you're like, how many world's largest banks are there? Like, well, there are like a couple of others, but like we're going to sell like, 24 of these things. Like we've got to, and by the time they realized that, they had a lot of mouths to feed on the go-to-market side. And that wasn't a zero. They were acquired, but they were acquired in a way that left the founder extremely bitter, and really felt like the VCs had pumped too much capital in him at the wrong time, had gotten him to do the wrong thing, and was then trapped at the acquiring company and was really not happy about it. He was also the one, so I was describing what we were going to do at Oxide. He's like, that is a suicide mission. And I just remember writing down a little notebook. I was like writing down suicide mission, kind of underlining it. Like, okay, we're on a suicide mission. That's fun.
when I think of rack scale compute, especially these days, I think of racks of GPUs more than CPUs. Is that something that you're building?
Yeah, right. Yeah, a very reasonable question. And when we set out, we're like, set out in 2019. The GPU was around, obviously, and important, but that's not what we were focused on. We were really focused on general purpose compute, general purpose storage, general purpose networking. And our belief had always been like, that's what we actually want. There is so much to go build there and go differentiate there. And of course, along the way, people are like, what about an accelerator? Like, what about an accelerator, a GPU? And the problem is that the way we want to build systems, we want to really build systems from first principles, where we have components that have transparency at that hardware-software interface, and we want to write that lowest layer of software. We are the company. Ultimately, we are building a hardware-software co-design product. And in order to be able to do that, you need to be able to write very low-level software. The problem is that's really not compatible with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a pretty proprietary company. It executes well, but a very proprietary company. And what that meant is there are effectively two doors for Oxide. One is labeled compete with NVIDIA, and the other is labeled partner with NVIDIA. And I didn't want to do either of those things. I have not wanted to do either of those things because I certainly want to compete with NVIDIA. And I think that's getting more plausible now. But we can't partner because we just have a very different view of how systems should be built. And the NVIDIA wants to their view is we should own the whole stack. Forget you, whoever you are. Okay, that's fine. We're going to focus on general purpose CPU. We got plenty to do over here. I think the thing that's been interesting and a bit surprising is that because the GPU landscape is so cluttered, you've got this very aggressive, the well executing company in terms of NVIDIA. You've got a lot of competitors around it. It's gory right over there. And meanwhile, on the general purpose CPU side, it's like HP, Dell, Supermicro, same companies that are doing the same kind of junk, honestly, that they have been doing. And so we are by our lonesomes in terms of a hardware software product over there. So over and over and over again, we have had people come to Oxide that we think no, we're not a fit for you because you do a lot of GPU. You've got a ton of GPUs. You company famously have a lot of GPUs. No, we do have a lot of GPUs. We also have a lot of CPU, as it turns out, because certainly the emergent AI workloads, not just AI workloads, but certainly AI workloads, but high performance computing workloads. There's a lot of general purpose CPU that's attached to this special purpose compute. When you're sitting there on ChatGPT and it's surfing the web, you got the little spinny saying it's surfing the web. That is not a GPU that's surfing the web. That is a CPU that's surfing the web. And the CPU is really, really important. So for us, we are more focused than ever on the general purpose CPU, and there is a ton to go do there, fortunately, to get this product to be where we believe it can be. And I think we will do an accelerator at some point. But I've been kind of saying it's 18 months away for a while, or 18 months that we would really start thinking about it. And I know we'll do it in the limit, but boy, not in the foreseeable future. We've got a lot to go do as it is.
I think coming to the end, I want to ask you some career reflections.
Yeah, you bet.
And kind of just all over the place type of questions. You wrote a tweet a while ago. I thought it was a really interesting idea, which was you said it would be interesting to have a conference called In Retrospect, where presenters revisit talks that they've given prior and describe how her thinking has evolved since. And I pulled a bunch of stuff that you've, written or said in the past. I'm curious if your perspective has evolved since then. So we'll go through each of those.
Sure.
So first one, which is actually really famous, when I saw it, I kind of did a double take. So in 1996, as a new grad, there's this I don't even know what Usenet was. I had to do research, actually. Yeah. But there's a guy he writes this long technical response.
David S. Miller.
Yes, and a part of it too, it's not nice either. I saw this a line in there. It says Linux is lightweight, Solaris is a pig, which Solaris is what I guess Sun was.
Yeah. Yes.
And then he writes this long thing, and you reply with just a few words. You say, "Have you ever kissed a girl?"
Yeah.
Oh, first of all, I want to know the context behind it, and then also knowing what you know now.
Oh, definitely in the regret department, if that's what that's asking.
Okay.
I've got very few regrets in my career, but you can put that one pretty firmly in the regret column. That was, and also had no idea that this was going to live in perpetuity. That, I mean, if you could have told me in, I think 1997 is maybe when I posted, maybe it was 96, it was 96 or 97. Certainly, like, I'm like 22. Like, I'm very young. If you had told me, like, oh, by the way, 30 years in the future, you're going to be asked about this, I'd be like, what the hell? What? Like, no, trust me. It's like the world gets weird. You're going to be asked about this. So it was actually okay. I'm not defending it. I just want to be sure that I want to be clear that like it was a mistake. It was actually a reference to a Saturday Night Live sketch. So there's an SNL sketch that is from an era of Saturday Night Live that is like you can't even find the video, but they have William Shatner is guest starring on Saturday Night Live, and the skit is that William Shatner is at a Trekkie convention, and the Trekkies are asking him all of these questions. And they're asking questions, and of course, like in episode, this season, in this episode, what was the combination on the safe? He's like, what? I don't know that. I don't know that. Why would I know that? Like, that's not even. And he's like, these two people are kind of arguing themselves, and they're asking him questions that are like this, that are all about like the kind of the canon of Star Trek. And then he's like, hey, can I just say something? Get a life, people. You have you ever kissed a girl? That was where they, going to John Lovitz when like Vulcaneers, John Lovitz, that's like lost to history. Why am I doing this? And kind of like looks down at himself. And so like it was actually like an obscure Saturday Night Live reference, which again, like it doesn't make it any better. That's definitely in the regret department.
What did he say back to that?
He had a whole lot to say about that. And I actually did have a longer post kind of taking apart what he had said about like, all right, like a lot of what you've said here is actually wrong. And so like really going through kind of point by point. I think, I've never met him, never talked about this. He's a very, very talented guy. I think I actually did read, I think it was in the Rebel book about Linux. Remember him reading that he's like, yeah, I kind of like was shooting my mouth off, and a Sun engineer kind of put me back in my place. And I'm like, man, if that is his read on it, he's being very generous to me. So I'd like to believe that maybe he and I both regretted it a little bit. We were both like a little, a little young and excitable. But yeah, that was definitely that was a life lesson. I would say that history forgot about that though.
So on another tweet.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, here we go. This is great. This is like the cleanse. Yeah.
Okay, this is in 2022. You wrote a tweet. You said, if you're tempted to blame a team for a startup's failure, please don't. Success is often due to a great team, but failure is almost always due to bad leadership.
I wrote that. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's it. I agree with that guy. He's on to something.
Well, I guess the question.
What was I responding to? I wonder. I missed something. I missed something that day on the internet. There's some weather on the internet. I'm subtweeting Paul Graham there somewhere. I think that must have been it.
But
2022.
I'm curious. Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
For Sun, because Sun ultimately failed.
So okay, I don't agree that Sun failed. Because Sun is founded in 1983. And is invaded in 2008, 2009. That's a good run. That's a really good run. Sun was a public company. Sun was in the Fortune 200. Lots of people, like kids, went to college because their parents were able to work for Sun. And you got, So I do not view Sun as a failure. Sun did not. I mean, arguably did not, or not maybe inarguably, did not succeed to the scope of its own ambition. But Sun to me is not a failure. Sun is a success.
Was its collapse at the end, I guess, changeable in hindsight with different leadership?
I think so. I think that this is a classic power game of like, why did Sun ultimately not survive as an independent entity? And why is that? I think there were a bunch of reasons. I think that I think that there's a degree to which Sun got very strung out on the very high margins during the .com boom and never quite like got off of that. Never like we embraced x86 too late. We kind of thought of ourselves. I mean, the company itself became fractured. The layoffs didn't help. I mean, I think we at Fishworks, when we were developing a storage appliance, I felt that we could have been an exemplar of what the kinds of products I felt Sun could develop, an independent Sun could develop. But it was going to be, there's a lot of like stuff that needed to be changed for that. And you needed leadership that really was very, very interested in that. And it's like, that just wasn't like that. That's not what we had. And in hindsight, it was probably time for a change. So it was, it's like it kind of the way a forest fire in a normal, healthy forest fire is kind of a part of the life cycle of a forest, and you need that to have to have rebirth. And I think ultimately, I think that Sun had succeeded, but had also run its course, and it was time for.
Had its time.
It had its time. Absolutely had its time.
Okay, and that next past take of yours, you wrote in 2022. Perhaps this shouldn't have been surprising, but Musk has absolutely no idea what he's doing, and this is about the takeover of Twitter. I actually don't even know what's going on Twitter because it's private at this
excuse
point.
me, I will thank you to not refer to SpaceX that way.
Oh, right.
It has been acquired by XAI, and then XAI has been rolled into SpaceX. So like we're now, I guess Glenn Shotwell now runs Twitter.
So I guess do you still agree that it's run poorly?
Oh God, yes. Yeah, I definitely agree that. I mean, because definitely. It's so. I mean, yes. I mean, yes. I literally feel dirty being specific about that. But when there's rampant bad behavior on Twitter. Community notes, yes. Community notes, great. Everything else, pretty much a tire fire.
What's your number one thing that is tire fire?
The number one thing of tire fire is that we'll tell you this. The reason that we at Oxide don't engage on Twitter, I can't have an Oxide tweet that is sitting next to some of the tweets that I've seen.
Oh, you see.
Okay. It's like the level of racism, bluntly. I see it. Crazy racism, crazy racism, crazy anti-Semitism, crazy and crazy the anti-Islam, like just crazy hate, crazy levels, the kinds of things that you literally could not say. And they're like, oh, well, it's free speech. It's like, it's not free speech. It's like, it's so deeply offensive and reflected. It's like, it's so deeply offensive that I don't want my content to be anywhere near it. I don't want someone to be looking at that and looking at my content. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do that.
And you lived through a bunch of booms and busts. Yeah. And honestly, I don't even know exactly if we're in a boom or a bust right now. AI is going crazy and there's all these layoffs.
Crazy. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But what advice would you give, given your experience through the booms and busts, for people who are in today's market?
Yeah. And I would say that some of this I do think is endemic. I mean, when I first moved out here, I'm like, oh, this is great. My grandfather was a petroleum engineer. And so I kind of grew up with stories of like plants that were going to be built and then shut down, or pipelines that were going to be built and then shut down, like everything tracking the price of oil, right? The oil patch is very boom and bust. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm in software. Like, I'm immune from booms and busts. I remember thinking this, like, you're just like, and of course, looking back at it now, you're like, oh my God, no, we are. They are a bit endemic, and they're endemic for reasons that are somewhat endearing, in that like we get so optimistic that we kind of get ahead of ourselves from an optimism perspective. We also get ahead of ourselves from a pessimism perspective. And what I would say is, like, you got to be really careful about listening to other people. People will tell you that this is going to be the future or that thing is dead, and you got to be like, just be your own judge. I had people tell me that operating systems are done in 1996. I'm really glad I didn't listen to them. Really glad I didn't listen to them. When people tell us you can't start a computer company in 2019, I'm really glad we didn't listen to them. VC firms, so we only fund SaaS. Those VC firms are like, well, it's like SaaS is struggling right now. But I would also say similarly, like, if SaaS is in your heart, as an example, where people are like, right now, people are like, SaaS is going to be, the Gen AI, the LLM assisted coding is going to really put a squeeze on these SaaS companies. And I think, like, there's definitely truth to that. But if one's heart is in that, you should ignore the pessimism, or treat the pessimism and the optimism with a grain of salt. Be your own judge and be true to what you want to do. Don't do the things that like, well, I'm doing this because it's like a hot space. It's like you should do this because I think it's, and there are plenty of people for good reason. I mean, these things are amazing. I mean, the where we are with respect to these LMs is just bonkers. And you could easily say I want to be find a great deal of intrinsic appeal to that. But that's the reason that you should be going into these systems, is because you think like, no, this is to quote Steve Jobs, this is the dent I want to take in the universe.
I notice your career, almost everything's driven from fulfillment and intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Is there a time in your career that you look at and you say, that's the happiest time of my career?
Yeah, that's a great question. We asked this at Oxide. We asked you when you've been happiest and why, for exactly that reason. And I would say that like it's not necessarily an era. It is times that I've been happy. I mean, bluntly, like pretty happy right now. Oxide's great. We have the moments for me, and this was an important kind of question for me to reflect on as we're starting Oxide. This is actually due to a friend of mine who had been at a startup, and he and I were taking a walk in San Francisco as kind of Steve and I are talking about bad ideas, and he was like, "You really need to answer for yourself. Why do you want to do this? What is drawing you to start a company?" And because it wasn't financial return for me, and people should not start a company for financial return. That's just not good life advice. But what was drawing me? Well, the thing that's drawing me actually is that the moments that have been the happiest have been working on an incredible team, and being on a team that where everyone individually is like, I don't think we can pull this off. Like, this is actually too difficult to pull off. And then everybody works together, complements one another, and you pull it off. Man, that feeling is extraordinary. And the times that I'd had it with D-Trace, I had it at Fishworks, I'd had it at Joyent a couple of times with LX, with Triton. Those times have been like, oh, that's what's amazing to me. And so, I mean, in many ways, like the bedrock of Oxide is like, what if we found a company around, part of the reason we were appealing, the larger problem was appealing to us is like, we're going to be able to attract an extraordinary team. And we have a team that it is so uplifting to be on a team. I've always said that the organizational model for Oxide is a heist movie. You know, you've got your safecracker, you've got your getaway driver, your demolitions expert, right? Like heist movies are great because of that. And like, because it's the group coming together, everyone's skill sets kind of coming in at exactly the right moment. And man, I love that. I love that so much. And Steve loves it. I mean, that's part of like our shared bond is he and I are both very, very team oriented. And we build a company around that. And it's extraordinary. It is truly, truly extraordinary. It's why we've been able to pull off what we've been able to pull off with the small team that we got. I think people are kind of shocked at how small a team that we've got given what we've been able to pull off.
And when you look back on your whole career, is there a particular top regret that you have?
I mean, I made an extraordinarily bad hire at Joyent. I think the worst hire in human history. Many people in Silicon Valley will say, like, well, that can't be the worst hire in human history because I feel I have made the worst hire in human history. And as I tell people, like, look, I'm happy to give up the crown, but you should know that my guy presented himself under an assumed name and just got off parole for violent felonies from San Quentin, and it's not what made him a bad employee. And usually people are like, no, I think you made the worst hire. I'm like, thank you very much. That was a bad experience. It was also very eye-opening because everything I was doing about hiring was wrong. And after we rectified that situation, got him out, we stripped hiring to the studs and really rethought hiring from the very first principles. That hiring process, a very writing-intensive process, one that really gets to intrinsic motivation, it became the hiring process at Oxide. And there was a moment where I'm like, oh my God, like this extraordinary team at Oxide, very much, I think, related absolutely to the hiring process that we have. This hiring process that I built because I made the worst hire of all time. I needed that guy.
So you don't regret it?
I don't regret it. I don't regret it. In fact, I'm even like, to kind of go back into the time machine and remove it, I don't think Oxide makes it. Because I would have continued to hire the way I was hiring, which was naively. It was hiring not rigorously. It was not selecting people based on values. So no, I absolutely needed it. So I think, and I view that way of a lot of things that maybe not gone the right way, but all of those failures were really, really important. And it's very hard to go back and you don't want to take those away. I mean, if I go to the time machine, maybe I would take away the Usenet post and maybe that wouldn't have any long-lasting consequences. But boy, that's about it.
Awesome. And then last question is, if you go back to the beginning of your career, knowing everything you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
Jesus, don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
I would just think, because like I feel like so lucky. So I've been so lucky in so many regards. I've been in the right place at the right time, so many different times over. And I've trusted my gut when sometimes that was not the thing, that was kind of a contrary thing to do. I mean, I would be scared to give myself advice because I would be worried that I would somehow tamper with what I feel has been an extraordinarily lucky career, where I've been able to do so much with so many extraordinary people. I've been blessed with so many incredible colleagues, and that has been so essential for everything that I've done. And I wouldn't want to do anything to engage that. So I'd be going back to my past self. I'd be like, I got nothing to say. Like, I don't want to screw anything up. Like, because I feel really, really lucky. And it wasn't always because again, it's like I made mistakes along the way, but the mistakes became load bearing and important. And I wouldn't want to not make those mistakes. Those mistakes were really important.
Well, it doesn't get better than that. And thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the thoughtful questions. Really great conversation. And thanks for doing the Hall of Shame here on the past tweets. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. It's a passion project of mine that I've really enjoyed building. Another passion project that I've been working on kind of in secret is building an ergonomic keyboard that I wish existed. And I finally have a prototype. So I'd love to show you what we've built. It's ultra low profile and ergonomic, and I couldn't find anything like it on the market. So that's why we built it. I'll put a link to the keyboard in the description. You can take a look and learn more about the project there. We could definitely use your support. Also, if you have any feedback for me about the show, I'd love to hear it. Comments on YouTube have led to guests coming on like Ilya Grigorik,
and David Fowler. I wasn't aware of them until someone dropped a comment. Also, feedback in the comments helped me learn to reduce the number of cliffhangers in the intros. So your comments definitely make a difference. Please keep letting me know what you'd like to see more of in the show, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Throughout history, there have been some rivalries that have shaped our lives as developers. Rails versus Django, SQL versus NoSQL, web components versus feeling the love and embrace of a woman. And just a few days ago, we got another update in one of my favorite niche tech rivalries, Vercel versus Cloudflare. If billionaires passive-aggressively having a downtime measuring contest on your timeline isn't your thing, you may have missed that Guillermo from Vercel and Matthew from Cloudflare really don't like each other. And that rivalry got amped up even more last week when Cloudflare released vNext, a re-implementation of the Next.js API built on V, essentially freeing up your Next.js app to be deployed anywhere. In this video, we'll break down how they did it, what it may mean for other open source projects in the future, and find out if it actually works. It is March 2nd, 2026, and you're watching the Code Report. Love it or hate it, Next is still the most popular way to create a React app. But despite that, historically, its biggest weakness has had nothing to do with its API, but rather its lack of deployment targets. If you have a Next app and you want to deploy it on Vercel, cool. Everything will work nice since Vercel essentially provides a bespoke runtime for things like routing, middleware, ISR, and image optimization. But if you have a Next app and you want to deploy it somewhere not on Vercel, like Cloudflare or Netlify, it gets a little trickier. If you've had this constraint, odds are you've used the OpenNext project to get around it. The way OpenNext works is it takes the traditional output you get from running Next build and then repackages it to run on whichever platform you'd like. And as you might imagine, this process of needing to reverse engineer and build on
Okay. So I'm going back into doing the research stuff. I mean, to be honest, I don't want to do it either. Like, the Brian Cantrell thing. And he was like, yeah, you should do stuff that's meaningful, etc. But yeah, I think you should still be a little bit directed towards, good stuff. So yeah. Don't want to miss out on that. So I was reading this blog post. So I think I'm just gonna read a bunch of blog posts on like how people got the global talent visa, and based on that, let's see what kind of stuff I'll need, right? So yeah. So this guy basically worked in a company which, even though it was a product company, it didn't look like one. So instead of, so if you don't know, this is the website where Tech Nation tells you actually what kind of shit they want you to do. See change log for, where's change log? What did you update? Oh. Interesting. Okay. I'm using such a small portion of my screen, like, I'm gonna increase the size a bit. Increase width fill. Yep. Okay. So to explain how it works, you have examples of business skills, eligibility criteria. So applicants must either meet one mandatory criteria and two optional criteria, or meet one mandatory and two exceptional promise. So it's basically the same thing for both. Exceptional talent. So this is the mandatory criteria, and this is the optional criteria. So the first criteria is doing something innovative, so which is usually going to be something like a patent. This is, something like being invited to a talk or something. So this and this are very similar. this is like anything you've done in a product-based company. And this is any kind of research that you've done. And this is basically the same, except like if you're early in your career, so the wording is like slightly different. So like here they've written like founder or senior executive. It's the same thing here, but it's like you could be a founder or an employee. It's the same shit. So it's innovation, it's work beyond occupation, it's employee of a product-based company, and academic contributions. The second thing here is kind of similar to the mandatory criteria. So basically recognition. Right. So coming back to this guys or girls is, I don't know what. It seems like a guy, but I don't know. Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn. Wait, what? Opera CTO. Are you kidding me? You're Opera as in like the web browser. I doubt. Wait, what? No, it's something else, right? Oh, it's something else. Oh, I was like, fuck. Who the fuck am I competing with, you know? So let's look at his shit. Master of Arts, Master of Science. Did he just do master stuff? I don't know, like, or maybe they call like bachelor's, masters or something, and this is his bachelor's. I don't know how it works. But let's see what he worked on. So he was in Japan. He hasn't listed any kind of study he did in Japan. Machine learning engineer, London. I think this might have helped him. This might have helped him. He doesn't seem to be in the main contributor, at least not anymore. So this is where, but you were already in London for like 3 years. Oh, you're doing it in parallel. So you didn't use this, huh? And I think then you got, wait, you're back in Tokyo? What was the point of getting the global talent visa? That's interesting. Do we see this guy? Yeah, he's here. Interesting. Main contributor to the blah, blah, blah. Interesting. Why did he go back though? Like, I mean, who gives a shit, right? But still. I guess he wanted to be a founder, and maybe it was hard here in the UK or whatever. I used to have a crush on this girl. She's from my college. Wonder what she's up to. What's this? She's still at Adobe, whatever. Interesting. I'm no longer a Python programmer, CDO, and co-founder. Maybe he answers this in the comments. Omedetou gozaimasu. Oh, this is interesting. Control net. What's your top repositories? Yeah. Okay, let's just read this thing. So yeah, he went for the research and the recognition beyond occupation thing. So this is why I decided not to choose. These are the other two criteria: product-based and innovation at a digital tech company. I wasn't sure. Okay, that makes sense. I prepared the following: personal statement, CV, recommendation, 10 documents. This is the most time-consuming part. I mean, this is the whole fucking application. What do you mean this is the most? That's all you have to do. This is an interesting thing. So if you contribute to an open source project which is being used by important companies, maybe that's something that helps. So for me, as an example, the easiest thing to do would be, so I'm going for the exceptional promise. This is easy as fuck, right? The difficult thing, I was gonna say mushkil, which is like difficult in Hindi. The mushkil thing is this and potentially this, right? About innovation, like I've heard you need a patent. I don't know if that's necessary. Yeah, I want to kind of none of this is what I initially signed up for. This is not really this is stuff that I have. All of this is kind of, yeah, how do I show that I've advanced shit, you know? That's the main thing. Like, how do you show that you've advanced stuff? There's just so much to think about. There's just so many things. But basically, I can divide it into getting acquainted with the thing, which is the most important. Based on that, you figure out what you want to do. And then you kind of collect and, you know, publicize and collect shit. So there's 3 parts to it. Publish is the other part. So this is also an important part. So this is collation. So that's basically 4 parts to the process. The first part is figure out what is needed. The second part is work on something, work on the gaps. The third part is publish your work. And the fourth part is just like kind of tie it all together. So definitely one of the things that this guy mentioned, I do want to also make sure not criteria, but rather maybe tips or something. So one of the important things is like something where you can collaborate with somebody, and they can like give you a letter of recommendation. That's one. Then the other thing is you could work on something which is related to job openings, right? You need something where you can like go give a talk as well. I don't know what the fuck this is. And maybe this is something you could do. There's a bunch of things to think about. But yeah, open source is one thing which is cool. right? So you can think of it this way. One criteria could be open source software that important companies use. The biggest fucking problem with my work is like now that I'm working on it, it's difficult to like do the same thing in the public because like what do I do? Anyway, let's read this whole thing. The fact that I was the second most active committer to awards. So his open source project is a big one. Is Kedro like a big? I'm pretty sure if it's used by NASA, it must be a big project. Oh, it has 10K stars. Of course, it's a big project. 2 awards won by Kedro. Further evidence when I was an active committer and the significance. A letter of support from where I did coding past 2 years. Letter of support from another professor. DL examination, explanations of my project. Academic stuff. I mean, most of my academic stuff is like is this supposed to be a good thing? This is a nice experience. This is something that I already have. Oh, well, it's in the Notion. Michelle Hua. Okay, this is something that I need to read. What's this? I think this is by this guy. Not so sure how useful this is. How much does it cost? Like I think it was £500 or something, right? You cannot submit new evidence. Bro, don't say this kind of shit. Do I know anybody who is like a leader in, what do you call it, in CDFs? I I don't know. The CDFs are like a young person sport. It's not that old. Yeah, I mean, there has to be something, right? Uh, Wait, you already did. No, it's mandatory. I mean, regardless of everything, you need to do something, right? So I have a bunch of Michelle Hua. So many posts. LORs are, yeah, definitely a criteria, but you don't want to be, yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, I'm mostly thinking about open source stuff. What I primarily need is open source, not open source, public recognition. In order to get public recognition, you don't necessarily need an open source project. Um, let me see if let me see if uh, How do I fulfill Sorry for the shit English. That's why LLMs are for. You must demonstrate blah blah blah. Detail from a senior leadership. Director or VP level. Does principal engineer work Amazon? Okay. Metrics, yeah, these can, all these are fine. External recognition is the main bummer, not the bummer, but yeah. External recognition is the main thing. Because external recognition in ways can be used both in conference talks, blogs. Yeah, how do we measure that though? Yeah, we're going to ask that later. Did I design a new detection model? Well, in a sense, everything is new, right? I'm just going to come back from the washroom. Okay, I'm actually feeling quite cold. I'm gonna go and go and do this on my bed. Yeah. Like, my life is a mess, but not a mess. But like, I'm literally not doing anything other than like working, like both job and then this shit. Like, I have nothing. Like, I do try to do stuff like going to the gym and like try to put some socializing reps in, but honestly, it's just the bare minimum. Right. Feeling kind of cold. Okay, let's get back into it. Obviously, I don't want to lose my job. That's the main thing, right? So it shouldn't be like doing two things and losing the more important thing because you're like so fixated on the thing that you don't have yet. Is there like an OWASP London or something? There is. How do we get to know? Okay, there's a meetup. Oh, I'm already in it. That's crazy. How do we? But how do you? Sorry, I'm doing it in a different window. So I was just trying to figure out how do I um, how do they find things, first of all? Of course, there's B-sides as well. Yeah. These are actually, I think, good outlets. When is the Okay, I'm getting very sleepy. I don't know if I'll just sleep or will I work for like a little bit more, which I think is best to end the stream now. Thanks for watching. Bye.